Today, we are on the Philadelphia Eagles with our deep dive of the defending champ. They are the third shot on the board to repeat as Super Bowl champs at 7-1 to win the NFC. The Eagles are plus 340. The NFC East minus 130 favorites to see if they can become the first repeat champs in the division for the first time in 20 years. Their win total, as you see on your screen, set at 11.5 as well. So the expectations clearly very high. The defense should be stout once again. They're probably not going to be the best in the NFL like they were a season ago, but still you would imagine top 5. The run game still going to be excellent with Saquon Barkley. It was crazy to see, I think, just the glow up from him last year. We all knew how good Saquon Barkley was. That was never in question. But when you go from one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League to the best, and you see the way he literally just took off and ran on a weekly basis, had more than 2,000 yards, just the 9th player in NFL history to do that in the regular season. But with that, because of how good all of those things were, is there a little bit of a natural regression and a step back? Like, he is very high on the odds board to be the offensive player of the year again, but we haven't seen a repeat winner in that category since Marshall Faulk back in the day. With his rushing yards total, do we look toward maybe an under just because of how high he set the bar last year with the Eagles? What's your breakdown of this Eagles offense and specifically Saquon Barkley entering the season?
Let's not forget the key difference is changing offensive coordinators. Kevin Patullo replacing Kellen Moore, who's now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. That is the 5th different play caller that Jalen Hurts is going to have under center in the last 6 seasons. The difference is Patullo at least has been coaching under Sirianni during this time, so hopefully the scheme's not changing dramatically. What's changed dramatically is those futures. Saquon Barkley rushed for 2,005 yards last year, and his prop's 1,500.5. Jalen Hurts threw for 2,903 yards last year. His passing yards prop is 3,200.5. So is this new OC going to have Jalen Hurts throw the football more? Maybe Hurts throws the football more in the front end of the season instead of the back end, but front-ending it so that Saquon doesn't have to run as much. He can stay durable. That's the concern. Making sure that Saquon, who last year ran for a lot of rushing yards, led the league, breaking records, that you don't hurt him, where he has had those seasons of missing games because of injury. You want to make sure Saquon stays healthy. So, Stormy, my assessment is they're going to throw the football more, especially in the first half. Make sure that Saquon Barkley doesn't get run into the ground too early. And maybe you look at a Jalen Hurts over on his passing yards season long.
He has the skill set and can have the deep ball. And we saw the way that he connected to some of his wide receivers. It's more like that intermediate passing game on a day-to-day basis that we saw struggle with him. So can those passing yards numbers improve like they should? Again, 3,200.5, the number there. And speaking to what you said about play callers, yes, 5 in the last 6 years with the Eagles, but then Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, Mike Locksley at Alabama, as well as Brian Dable, Lane Kiffin, and Steve Sarkisian from 2025 entering this year, dating back to 2016. That's 10 or 11 different OCs and play callers that he's had. So the fact that year in and year out he's been able to do what he's done and grow as a player, I think is very impressive. Let's shift gears and go to the defense. I mentioned how good and how stout this unit was a year ago. Do you think they maintain that form under Vic Fangio again this season?
There are a lot of changes on the defensive side of the ball. Josh Sweat, Darius Slay, Brandon Graham, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Milton Williams. They're all gone. That's 4,070 combined defensive snaps and a lot of experience to make up for. Now they've added John Campbell, pass rushers like Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari. Cornerback Adoree Jackson also was added. So last year they were top 10 against the pass and the run. One of the best run defenses, if not the best run defense we saw last year. Can they be the same? Maybe a little weaker. I wouldn't say bad, but I think that's a lot of holes that we have question marks around if they can replace all those experienced players. Maybe we see them get off to a slower start. Stormy, I'm not going to say that they'll be the best, but I think they'll still be top 10 all around as a defense. Just curious which part of this defense is going to drop off with all those changes.
Fair. And again, that's why I said earlier, this was the top defense in the National Football League, right? So there's the only place to go is static or down. And you have to imagine that it's going to regress a bit, but how much, yes, is the big question. As far as the division goes, minus 130, odds-on favorites to repeat, something that, as I mentioned earlier, hasn't happened in a long, long time. when you look at their standing in the division, it's similar to what we talked about with the Super Bowl. Like, they are the top dogs until they're not, but you do have a Washington Commanders team and a very young, talented quarterback nipping on their heels, and a Cowboys team that I think could be underlooked a little bit this season for the guys that they actually do have and can field as long as their quarterback Dak Prescott stays healthy. So what is your view of the NFC East, and in your mind, is there a bet to be made here?
The Cowboys are definitely underrated this season. They've got some talent on the offensive side of the ball, again, as long as Dak Prescott does stay healthy. Trayvon Diggs should be back. And remember, they were without him pretty much all of last year, Dallas. Having Diggs back at corner is going to be huge for that Dallas defense. Everybody and their mother is high on the Commanders. Yes, they had a great season last year. Yes, your quarterback, Jaden Daniels, had one of the best rookie seasons ever. But come on. We're looking at a team like Houston that did the same thing with C.J. Stroud, and then they dropped off a little bit last season. It's not a failure of a year. It wasn't the same. The Commanders, people are way too high on them for just a one-year sample size. I would look to the Cowboys. Again, zigging when everyone zags, or whatever that saying is. That's what I'm doing in the East, because it's a division that always seems to have the same different teams win it each year. If the Eagles do drop off, maybe their defense drops off a little bit. Maybe they lose a few games because Saquon's not running with the football as much and they're not eating as much time off the clock. Whatever it is, if there is room for somebody, the Cowboys at, plus 550?
Yeah.
That's a really nice payout for a team of veterans.
Yeah, plus 550, again, for any of our new people. Bet $100, win 550. Their season win total as well has been bet up from 7.5 to 8.5, so getting a little bit of love there, the Dallas Cowboys, that is, for what they could do to exceed expectations. And obviously last year, a down year, and health a big part of that, but had 3 straight 12-win seasons prior to that decline.